All right, so can you guys see me? Looks, I think, yeah, everything's good. Okay. Okay. All right, let's get started. So, hi everyone. So this is a new segment here for Upper Valley Aquatic Center. So what this is titled is Anatomy with Alan. And like I said, my name is Alan Hernandez. I'm a fitness monitor here at UVAC, and I just recently passed my certified personal training exam and hope to be a personal trainer soon. So one of the few reasons why I am in the fitness industry is I graduated with a bachelor's in health, fitness, and recreation with a focus in nutrition. And I also hope to help future clients achieve their goals. So, a couple reasons why I do like anatomy is it was one of my favorite subjects during undergrad, and I really learned a lot during that class. And I felt like I really understood it really well and how the body works. And I was also able to incorporate the knowledge that I got from this class into like my workouts and being a little bit smarter with things. And also hopefully being able to educate others on how the body works as well. So this Facebook Live session is going to be every Thursday starting at 2. Every session is going to be one different system of the body. And there's 12 systems in the body. So those 12 systems are the circulatory, digestive, you have the endocrine, immune, lymphatic, nervous, muscular, skeletal, reproductive, respiratory, urinary, and integumentary. So what we're going to be talking about today is the circulatory system, or the cardiovascular, as other people call it. It could be either or. So, excuse me. All right. So the function of the cardiovascular system is that it transports oxygenated blood throughout the body, and not just that, but other nutrients, and it also removes waste or carbon dioxide from the tissues within the body. So what this system consists of, it obviously consists of the heart, blood vessels, and the blood. So to start off with the heart, there's quite a few different parts of the heart that are the most important. So it's made up of cardiac muscle tissue, which is one of the three types of muscles that are within the body. So you have the right and left atrium, which are the smaller chambers of the heart, which are on the top. And then you have the right and left ventricles, which are larger, and those are on the bottom. So, and the left ventricle is the largest chamber in the heart because it has to withhold quite a bit of blood, because that blood is then transferred throughout the body, but we'll talk about that later. The aorta, that's the largest artery in the body. Superior vena cava, I'll briefly go into that a little bit later as well. So you also have the inferior vena cava, and I'll also go through that later. And then you have the tricuspid valve, which is on the right side of the heart, that separates the right atrium and the left right ventricle. Sorry. And the reason why it's called tricuspid is because it has 3 points of contact within the heart. So it opens and closes and allows blood to flow from the right atrium into the right ventricle, and prevents any blood flow back into the right atrium. And then you have the bicuspid valve, which is on the left side of the heart, bicuspid, bi-2. So it has 2 points of connection within the heart. And that one's also open and closes, helps blood flow through the left atrium to the left ventricle. And then you have the pulmonary valve, which is connected with the right ventricle, because the blood flows in through the pulmonary valve to get to the lungs. And then you have the aortic valve, which is on the left side, connected with the left ventricle. And then that blood flows through the aortic valve and goes through the aorta. And another important part about the heart, so the way that the blood does get pumped is through the electrical system. So there's 4 different parts to that. So there's the sinoatrial node, which is technically the pacemaker of the heart. It dictates everything that goes on with it. And then the signal then transfers down to the atrioventricular node. And then from there, it gets transferred in between the right and left ventricles, which the parts, there's a few different branches that come down through that little piece, and that's called the atrioventricular bundle branches. And then from there, it gets to the Purkinje fibers, where then the blood completely gets, it gets pumped through the body. So along with that, we're going to go on to the blood vessels, so arteries and veins. So first off, like I mentioned before, you have the aorta that transports oxygenated blood throughout the body. And then you have the arteries, which also carries oxygenated blood throughout the body. And then from the arteries is connected the arterioles, which are much smaller, and that regulates blood flow into the capillaries. So the arterioles, there's arterioles and capillaries within the lungs, and then also within tissues. So then within the capillaries, that's where the gas exchange occurs. So oxygen is going into the tissues, and then the carbon dioxide is coming out through within those same capillaries, but the same direction, because then the venules are grabbing that carbon dioxide blood and then bringing it out to the veins. So when that blood has that carbon dioxide, it is considered deoxygenated blood. So the venules and the veins do carry that deoxygenated blood away from the tissues and then back into the heart to get oxygenated again. So the only arteries that carry deoxygenated blood are the pulmonary arteries, since that's how the psychonesis happen again. So from the right ventricle, and then through the pulmonary valve, then the pulmonary arteries are right there getting it transferred to the lungs. And then you also have the pulmonary veins, which those are the only veins that carry oxygenated blood, and then they carry it back into the heart to get pumped throughout the body. So now onto the blood. So they carry nutrients such as oxygen into the tissues within the body, and it also carries waste products away from the tissues, as I mentioned before. And also, again, there's oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. So the oxygenated blood, it comes out after the lungs, as I mentioned before, and then gets pumped throughout the body. And oxygenated blood tends to be brighter red than deoxygenated blood, whereas deoxygenated blood is actually dark red. I know some people may think, oh, because our veins are blue, the blood is supposed to be blue, but it's not. All blood is red. So deoxygenated blood is actually a dark red. So yeah, that's the difference between them. So to go through the next thing, I'm going to take you through the blood flow path. So to start off, we're going to be in the right atrium. So from the right atrium, it's going to go down through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. And then from the right ventricle, it's going to go through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary arteries and then into the lungs. Next week, we're actually going to be talking about the respiratory system. So I'll go more in depth next week about that. So it gets into the lungs, capillaries, lungs, sacs, and then comes out through the pulmonary veins. It comes back into the heart through the left atrium, and then from the left atrium, it goes through the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle, and then it goes into the aortic valve, and then through the aorta, and then from the aorta, that's where it gets sent out through the rest of the body, from the upper body and the lower body. So it goes through the arteries, arterioles, goes through the capillaries within the tissues, and then once that blood gets out of those capillaries, goes into the venules and veins, and then it gets transferred back into the body. So the way that works, so the superior vena cava, it's on the top of the heart, so that vessel or part of the heart receives the deoxygenated blood from the upper body veins, and then from the lower body, the inferior vena cava, which is more on the side, not necessarily underneath, that gets the blood from the lower part of the body, and then back into the right atrium for another cycle. So I found a few different facts, fun facts to wrap this up about the cardiovascular system. So the heart pumps about 2,000 gallons a day. It's quite a bit. Most heart attacks happen on a Monday. Fairy fly has a smallest heart of any living creature. An American pygmy shrew, which is like smaller than a mouse. So that's the smallest mammal, but it has the fastest heartbeat, which is at 1,200 beats per minute. That's like ridiculously fast. And I never thought about how long the blood vessel system is. And apparently, if you were to extend the entire system, it would reach to over 60,000 miles. So that's quite a bit of ways. So yeah, that wraps it up. Did you guys have any questions or anything like that? Please let me know. So next week, we'll be back here at 2 p.m. To go over the respiratory system. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.